UnoAboveAll AskReddit. What was your "it can't be that easy" / "it was that easy" moment in your life?
Welcome to
AutoGenLabs.
Daily Reddit content.
By robots.
For the internet.
Found a 60 TV by the dumpster. Plugged it in, didn't turn on. Looked up common problems with the model number. Bought a part on eBay for $20, replaced part, had a huge TV.
In my late teens/early 20s, I landed several good admin jobs that required a degree I didn't have. Turns out, when they say bachelor's degree, they just meant sound middle class on the phones.
Honestly, after being incredibly broke, I remember how easy everything suddenly seemed when I had money. Car broken? He had it fixed. Sick? Go to the doctor. Need a babysitter? Hire one. Money makes everything so much easier and less disruptive to life. I knew I'd made it when I put my bills on auto-pay.
In a bar on a work night just for a couple of drinks with a mate. Briefly talked to a girl at the bar when I was ordering a drink. I left an hour later and said goodbye to her as I was walking out. She asked if she could come with me. I was like, "Oh, I'm just going home," and she said, "Yes, I know." Completely hit me out of the blue. I was like, "Oh, right. Oh, yeah, sure. You can absolutely come with me." I was sus and confused about it. But all went well. Turns out she had been stood up for a date and sat there for an hour or so by herself. And I was just in the right place and the right time.
In college, the professor advertised an internship and wrote the info on the board. Out of a class of 150 students, I was the only one to apply, and I fulfilled my internship requirement for graduation.
Changing my bathroom faucet. I'm a 56-year-old woman that's never done any plumbing before. Turns out YouTube is a wealth of knowledge. It really wasn't that hard. I get joy every time I wash my hands knowing I did that.
One of the kids I babysit was going through a phase of "I want to be a baby again." Jealous of her sister. Weeks of gentle parenting and such. You know what worked? I was eating ice cream and she wanted some. I said, "Babies don't get ice cream." That was it. She was done.
Got a job that required full-time field work for minimal pay in hours. On my first day they asked about other skills. I saw other people using AutoCAD, so I said I used it in college, but I was really rusty. This was a lie. I had only ever used it once to draw some circles. They were excited and got me a 4-day refresher class. I learned AutoCAD and haven't been in the field in over a year. I later asked for more pay since I wasn't a field tech anymore. They said no. I got another job using AutoCAD for double salary. Pro tip, learn AutoCAD C3D. It's not that hard, and boomers will think you're a tech beep.
Solving a decade of disability with an over-the-counter iron supplement. Edit, I seem to have convinced a number of people they are iron deficient and that they should start taking iron pills. While iron is unlikely to be harmful in over-the-counter doses over the short term, in the long term it can literally beep you. Asterisk, if at all possible, asterisk, get medical supervision for doing this. I'm doing it on my own because I can't convince my doctor I'm deficient when I definitely am, but this carries risks with it.
I was recently looking for an apartment and rent in my city, like most cities currently, is outrageous, so after 3 days of looking I found this 2-bedroom apartment with a price that normally would get your roach-infested 1-bedroom/studio beep in a bad part of town, but these apartments look nice, they're in a good part of town. The reviews online are all positive. I can't figure out the catch. Then I see there is a year-long wait list for this place, but I decide to go to the leasing office, and after talking to the property manager, I get bumped to the top of the list for an apartment that becomes available next month. I keep waiting for the button to drop out. Most people spend months looking for places in my city, and they'd be paying a third more than I'm paying at a minimum for a similar place. I looked for 3 days and found this place, but I think I just got lucky and it was just that easy.
In an attempt to sleep with a girl, I told her she was on my to-do list. We had beeped that night.
I had a loose hinge on my door. It kind of drove me crazy for 3 years, but I had no idea how to fix the wood that had been stripped. Then I found a product on Amazon for $10 where you shove on a sleeve, break it off and then beep in the new screws. Bought 2 new hinges that don't squeak. Took about 10 minutes and cost $20, and it's no longer a problem.
Drinking water. Went from having issues getting to sleep and then waking up grumpy and tired. Water has changed my life. Thought it would be super difficult to kick soda, but once I tried and didn't give in, the benefits outweigh the taste.
I was at a locally well-known upscale restaurant one time. I had ordered sweet potato fries, and it came with the most amazing dipping sauce I had ever had. Tangy, spicy, the whole package. So I figured I didn't have anything to lose and asked the waitress if I could have the recipe. She said she'd ask the chef, but of course I figured they'd say no. A short time later she came out and handed me a photocopy of the recipe. And that was that. I've made this sauce a few times since, and it's still just as amazing. Edit, a lot of people are asking for the recipe. Fair enough, it's a beat good recipe. Given that it's not my recipe and it did come from a restaurant, I don't feel comfortable blasting it out on the internet. That wouldn't be fair to them. So what I'll do is give you an altered version of the recipe. Some of the ingredients and quantities are changed, but it should still taste pretty similar. Also note, the quantities are reduced. Since the original recipe calls for commercial proportions, 1 quart mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon ground cumin, 1 tablespoon cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon paprika, 1 tablespoon chili powder, 1 tablespoon onion powder, 2 tablespoons sriracha sauce, 1 tablespoon garlic powder, 1 tablespoon lemon juice, 2 tablespoons chipotle peppers in adobo sauce, puree chipotle peppers, then mix all other ingredients in until smooth.
My divorce. No lawyers, no fighting. I gave her the house, she makes more than me, so no alimony/child support, just filled out the paperwork, paid the nominal court fees, and it's all good. I see my kids every few days and we have both moved on and get along.
Worked on an almost $5 million lighting rig for a concert as a junior guy on the job. We get it all plugged in and patched, but none of it would turn on. All the guys were freaking out trying to figure out why. The team collectively had about 150 years of experience. No one checked Rosie if the generators were turned on. I was like, no way, this is why, but I'll just go check if the generators are good. Flipped stuff on and Viola.
Tying shoelaces. When I was a kid, no one ever managed to teach me how to tie my shoes. I remember never being able to get that last step that ties it all together, and in general I beep with knots. I would have been garbage in the Boy Scouts. I got into my early 20s relying mostly on Velcro shoes. But one day I sat down with a pair of new shoes determined to figure it out. I put one on and tied it correctly on the first try. I just sat there dumbfounded for a few minutes wondering how it had been that easy all along.
When I started my ab medication, I never knew how life could be and how easy it was to just get up and do stuff. Changed my life for the better, and I've managed to turn so many things around. Can't believe it took me 18 years to get diagnosed.
I started looking for a job last year and got 3 offers within 2 months, 2 of which were significantly higher pay. It made me realise I've been sitting around way too long.
I made a 13th century Pirates style shirt by hand in a machine with a YouTube video. I like sewing, but I'm not the best at it, so it made me feel good about doing things that seem hard.
Making an account asking for beep. Turns out it's the easy.
Standing up for myself and no longer being afraid to upset others by simply existing lol.
I was trying to activate Windows XP and 7 on an old computer a few years ago for giggles and software compatibility. I couldn't get them to accept my key because the servers were shut down. I tried calling the phone number they had listed and it gave me a code for my Windows when I entered my key. It was super easy. Best of all, I didn't have to talk to a person, a robot took care of it all.
Building muscle. I still struggle to shift beat, but whatever way I'm wired, it's incredibly easy to pack on muscle in the gym. It's totally still newbie gains, but there was a lot of change for not very much effort.
Get into a bar fight. Some guy didn't like the way I looked. Never had said a word to the guy all night. He was about 15 feet away from me most of the night.
Telling a barber that you do not want your hair to be cut that short. He actually did not mind me saying it and noted it.
Made a career transition at 34 to what I've always wanted to do.
I got into the US, Congress with an entirely fake background.
When I applied to college, I applied for an Irish-American scholarship. Turns out they had so few applicants, they just gave me $40 towards my tuition. I am not even remotely Irish.
I was beep at a party and saw a cute girl. Stumbled over to her and literally said, "You're cute, can I have your number?" Nearly a decade later, she's next to me with our child asleep on her lap. Sometimes getting the date is just that easy. To shame her even further, she was asterisk sober, asterisk I was blitzed enough to silence all my normal second-guessing and internal thoughts that get in my own way, but she had a drunken nerd just straight up ask her out, no small talk or anything, and decided that it was a good idea.
Learning to drive. First time around failed the written test by 1 question and it made me really anxious about the whole thing. Tried again a little while later and it was surprisingly easy, and the behind the wheel test was even easier. I eventually ended up retrying and getting my licence because I was sick of being the one 16, almost 17 at that point-year-old in my friend group who needed to be picked up whenever we went anywhere.
Stop drinking alcohol.
Cleaning my toilet and sink after months of depression.
When I realised I was the source of all my problems.
Making my username.
Leaving a 3-year relationship.
Operating an electric pallet jack. One of my coworkers literally just showed me one day how to work it. No training required, just learn how it works.
Thanks for watching. This has been an AutoGenLabs production. That means that this video was created by a robot out of content on Reddit. We show all account names and list them in the description to credit the Redditor community that makes our work possible. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. We post new videos every day. If you have any suggestions for videos you would like to see, please leave a comment. Our human department for public relations reads all of them, or won't be let out of their cages again. Goodbye.